Hello, my name is Tracy Subisak, and I am the author and illustrator of Sorry Snail. Sorry Snail is a story about sincere apologies and how do we get to them. I'm going to read a little bit of the beginning of the book and then we'll talk a little bit more after. Sorry Snail. Sorry, Snail. Ari was mad. She was not allowed to yell when upset, so she danced. Wiggle here, jiggle there, until she heard munch, munch, munch. Ari stormed up to find what? The snail. Munch, munch, munch. What a happy snail. Ari whispered wildly, "Look at that slimy body. That silly shell." Now this is when she got real close and did the whisperiest of whispers. Those tentacle eyes. Sorry, Snail doesn't look so happy. I just can't look at you anymore, Snail. Snail stopped munching and zoomed away. At a snail's pace, that is. That night, as Ari fell asleep, she heard the strangest sound. Now it is I who am quite upset. Ari peeked her eyes open. You'll have to read the rest to see what happens. But to summarize, Ms. Snail, the snail, comes to Ari requesting an apology, and she doesn't receive a very sincere one, so she still feels hurt. And her requests get a little more and more silly and maybe a little bit more extreme towards the end. So this is something that a lot of us go through in any age of our life, where we have to step back and see how we might have affected someone else and what we need to do to sincerely apologize. And sometimes, as someone who's hurt, when we request apologies, we need to think about how we can be kind to ourselves and to the other person when we request our apologies. I'd like to share with you a little bit about my process. I did so many versions of this book. This is the first ever sketch out of the entire book. As you can see, the sketches are very rough. And there's a lot of ideas thrown into these sketches. And this happens a lot of times when I start writing a book. And I know a lot of friends who also write, and they have very rough ideas, and they find the best way that they can just put it down on paper. I also wrote probably 8 manuscripts. So here's one of the manuscripts with lots of notes. Here's one of the manuscripts with sketches and friends' notes and my editor's notes. Sometimes it takes a lot of help to write a book. And once I got the whole dummy, or the sketches and the manuscript finished, I used my favorite tools to create the final artwork. So these are my favorite tools. I love to use a Chinese brush. It's got this natural hair to it, And the best part about Chinese brushes, in my opinion, is that you can get really thick lines and really thin lines. So you just need one brush to do it all. I also use these types of paints. So we've got Gansai Tambi, which is a Japanese style watercolor. And for the very bright colors in this book, I used acrylic gouache, and I found some really fun colors to use. All of this goes on a plate, and I mix everything together to find the right colors. And when I do the lines in the ink, I use Sumi ink, which is this ink in a bottle. There's also India ink, which is similar. It's permanent ink, so if you put water on it or use watercolor, it doesn't bleed and turn into a blobby color. Once I'm finished, I'll come in with crayons and color pencils and just create more shading and more pop in the final artwork. And so here's some examples of the actual final artwork. We've got this one. I think this one's a great example where you can see the crayon on top of the paint, and then you can see the brush strokes and the thick and thin that you can get from all of these methods. This was such a fun book to work on. I hope that you enjoy reading it and you get something out of it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.